This is your time. Shine bright.
Over here, we are about sisterhood.
What happened? There is power in every voice.
It's either now or
Respect the hustle.
yes, girl. Yes, you can. You can definitely do it.
Life is tough, but so are you.
Keep going. Don't quit.
Be fearless. Be bold.
This is the season to love yourself.
The best is yet to come.
Be confident in your own skin.
Create your own story. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you guys for joining us.
Now is the time to exhale and breathe. Hello, beautiful ladies. This is your space to breathe, to rise, and to shine. A place where women of every color, from every age, background, and walk of life come together in strength and love. Here, we keep it real with Von's reality, unfiltered, unapologetic, and full of truth. Because
Said what I said.
this is where we celebrate our sisterhood, share our stories, and lift each other higher. So exhale, sis, and welcome to Waiting to Exhale. Hello. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody coming in. Hey, Miss Mimi. Hey, Miss Alice. Hey, Mike Tito. Hey, Anaya. Hey, Too Strong. Hey, Isis, SBK. Hey, y'all. Abril, my love. Y'all, I am so excited. Are y'all excited? I'm excited. Shanice. Hello, Shanice. Hey, girl. Hey. Hello, y'all. Make sure y'all hit the like button on your way in. Okay. All right. Are y'all ready for today's show? Because I am. I am so excited. Okay. So, hey, sis, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Guys, thank you guys for waiting on us. But yes, we have been having a few technical errors, but that's how it goes whenever you're trying to get something done. But nevertheless, we're here. And welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to the Waiting to Excel. We are gonna get better. We do promise that. But it is what it is. And thank you guys for waiting on us. We do appreciate that. And hello to everybody in the chat. Alice, Jay Blake, SBK, Shanice, Disrupt and Discuss, Mimi, Foxy Roxy. Thank you for being here. Just E. And if I missed anybody, we do apologize for that. But I'm just going through the chat here. I see a Brilliance Blessings is here. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our show. It is our very first show, and of course, we had to have some pains and groans and what have you, but hell, the show is still gonna go on. We're not gonna let that stop us. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited to see everyone here. And I really am. I'm excited, and of course, we're gonna have to try to wing it because everything that we tried to load up didn't load. But nevertheless, the most important thing is the show and the stories, right? And we'll work on the production as time goes on. But we would like to welcome you guys to our very first show. We're so excited, and I'm ready to get into this. And so, the name of the show is "What is Women Empowerment? What does empowerment mean to you?" And so, if you guys could put it in the chat what you think women empowerment mean. And meanwhile, while you put that in the chat, we're going to go ahead and give you what we feel like women empowerment is. In my mind, women empowerment means to me is all women coming together, sharing our stories, our triumphs, our careers, our ups, our downs, our good times, our bad times, and really just basically having a sisterhood that can't be broken. Um, I feel like women empowerment also meaning to try to encourage women that's in business like entrepreneurship. I'm really big on that. Maybe try to give you guys some tools on how to navigate that. It's also being a counselor for each other, a shoulder to cry on with each other. It's also spending time together where you can actually have fun, because let's keep it real, we women do all aspects of life, right? We have fun, we go to work, we raise kids, we're mothers, We're sisters, we're aunties, we're godmothers, we're grandmothers. And so women have so many different roles in the world today. And so that was one of the reasons why we launched this channel. We wanted this to be a channel to celebrate women because, as I said earlier or on other different panels, I just don't think we're being celebrated enough. And I think you guys found the space where we can actually celebrate the sisters. And and it's not just sisters in color, right? It's sisters, all type of sisters. Because as a woman in a collective, I say that we're all sisters. What do you feel about that, Vaughn? What is your definition of women in?
Yes, I agree. My definition of women empowerment is most definitely being a girl's girl. Okay. Y'all know I love to compliment, uplift, and encourage, all the ladies. Okay. I really have come to terms with having I guess you'll say like a prayer, support system, like, when women come together, and they pray well, I'm gonna say in a sisterhood, you know, from what I've been experienced is like, you pray together, you speak life over each other, you you definitely, keep each other, focused and, motivated on the right things. Um I also feel that women empowerment is, to have your own, encourage other women, to have their own and not just, always sitting around, gossiping and, girl, look at this, girl, look at that, have some goals, something to look forward to. So that's like my whole new thing that I've been doing. And I also, I'm nervous, y'all. I am also very just I'm a girl's girl, okay? I want us to have fun together. I want us to laugh together, be able to confide in each other without judgment and ridicule and backstabbing and backbiting. So that is my definition of women empowerment. Put God first. You are your sister's keeper and just root for each other.
I agree, Vaughn. I agree. And so I'm so glad that we started this channel so that we can come together. Okay. And so today's show, when we were trying to come up with the show, we like I said, we do have several topics that we could have talked about. And I just started thinking, and I was like, well, you know what, sis? Um, Women empowerment mean a lot of things to us, right? And I don't feel like that we should start these series and the topics that we came up with, right? Because at the end of the day, how can we empower women and how can we help inspire women without telling our stories on how we got to where we are today? So I thought it would be a great idea for us to give you some background of just me and Vaughn's reality. Tell you our story first. Because once again, we're going to be doing interviews and we're going to talk about your life. But I didn't think it was fair for us to just get all off in y'all business and don't tell you anything about our business, right? So today's show is really gonna be my story and it's gonna be Vaughn's reality story. Okay. So I would like for Vaughn to start out and telling her story first. And then once she finished, then I'm gonna tell my story. But I thought that that would be a great way to start the show, to start the channel. It's just by telling you guys our story, our triumphs, our trials, our tribulations, our goods, our bads, our ups, our downs, and just really kind of give you a little background of where we come from and who we are. And yes, you guys, know us from different channels and being on different panels. but we really, you still don't, know us, but you don't know us. Okay. It's now, some of you guys may know Vaughn on a personal level, and some of you guys may know me a little bit on a personal level. So I thought that that would be a great segue to start this show, is to by start telling our story first, so when we are interviewing people, they won't feel like that we're just asking them a bunch of personal questions and they know nothing about us. We want everybody to feel comfortable on this channel. We want everybody to be able to share whatever it is that they want to share. And so I just thought it would be a great way for us to start that way. But I'm looking at some of y'all comments, right? And I asked you guys a question. What do you think um, women empowerment mean to you? So it looks like a brilliant says enjoying life, and 20 welcome. So I don't know what the 20 welcome mean, but I guess you're saying just oh, you're welcoming me and somebody. Okay, that's the name of somebody. So Anaya is speaking to enjoying life. Maybe I'm getting this mixed up because that name is actually inspiring, for women. But Joe is saying uplifting each other is what she feel like women empowerment means. um Too Strong say, at its heart, women empowerment is about choice and control, the ability for a woman to decide her path without limitations from bias, inequality, or oppression. I like that. Too Strong, I do like that definition. And so Scorpio Mama says, women empowerment to her is being loyal as much as you can. I can attest to that, Scorpio Mama, and I definitely can agree with you with that. And a brilliant is just saying that she liked the answer. And so let's see if anybody else answered the question. And Scorpio Mama said that I'm gonna tell my story, but not the grimy stuff. Gonna be in my book. Well, sure. Whenever we do interview you guys, we want you to tell your story and tell it however you want to tell it. Okay, because there's no judgment over here. So Vaughn's reality say being women empowerment is no competition to her. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Hey, Miss Boogie Down. And so let me see if anybody else answered the question. I don't see. Okay, so Vaughn, yeah, Brilliant is saying, just welcome you guys to the channel, and she's asking you guys to join the chat, subscribe to the channel, and share it out, please. And hit the like button and set your notifications to all, so that you'll know whenever we go live, and all of your support is appreciated. So Miss Boogie Down say thriving with one another and embarrassing each other. I know that's right, Miss Boogie Down, because guess what? If I'm your friend, you may get embarrassed, and I may tell something that may be funny. I'm not going to tell your deepest, darkest secrets, but yeah, to me, that's what being women empowered is all about. Embarrassing each other, laughing together, and crying together. Hey, Shadow, thanks for stopping by. And hey to you, Chanel Headslop, thank you for stopping by. So I'm looking to see. So enjoying life say, Von, enjoying life is Colleen. You remember me from MS channel. So okay, I don't know what that means. I guess you're just speaking. Hey, complicated. Okay, so a few of you guys did answer what you feel like women empowerment mean to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet and let the show get started. And so, Vaughn, are you ready to give out your story? Are you ready to tell your story, little sis?
Of course I am.
Well, you got the floor, ma'am.
Miss Bookie Down says she meant embracing, but I can be embarrassed. Okay, so hello, y'all. Okay, as everyone knows, I am Vaughn's Reality, also known as Vaughn. Okay, Keyvon, Tito, Young Vaughn, Vaughn, Barbie. Okay, I got a whole lot of nicknames out here. So, some of y'all know I am a mother of four. Okay, I had my first child when I was 21. I was married at 25. Okay, and I had my last child at 28. Okay, and y'all know that I am a stay-at-home mom. When y'all first met me, I had two jobs. Okay, so I am definitely a hard worker when I do work. Okay, um, I have two boys and two girls. I have had some personal struggles with personal struggles with motherhood. I've had struggles as a woman. I've had struggles in my marriage. Um, I have one best friend in the whole wide world, who's going to let me interview her, by the way. I love being around my grandmothers. You guys know that. I'm very close with my aunts, who's also here in the chat. I mean, I think y'all pretty much know everything about me, other than that I really haven't talked too much in depth about some of my personal struggles, and some of the things that I go through on a regular basis. So over here on this channel, we will go more in depth about that. Um, I don't really have too much more to say other than, I mean, that's my story. If you've talked to me behind the scenes, you know there's a whole lot more story. um, but yeah, that's all I got for right now, and just you know, stay tuned for more. And other than that, I don't really have any exciting details to go into right now in my story. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess this is gonna be an interview style because we're not gonna let Vaughn get away with that. That's not gonna work. And so sis, I need you to get a little bit deep. You don't have to give us all details, but you feel like everybody know your story, but everybody on in this chat do not know you. Some of
Oh
these people may know you, but everybody in this chat do not know you. And I think you're forgetting that because you see a lot of familiar names, but it's
yeah.
a lot of it's a few unfamiliar names in this chat that don't have a clue about who you are, where you're from, how many children you have, whether you're married or not. Um,
I said that.
well, I'm just saying.
Okay,
I
fine. Okay.
we need.
Hi,
Well,
everybody.
let me just put it like this. I'm gonna need you to go into depth because this is not the I said what I said show. And I got a whole book of stories. And yeah, you are a little bit younger than
Well,
me, but you still have
I was finna say, sis, I ain't even lived
that's
that
not
long
gonna
yet.
work.
What you
That's
want
not
me to
gonna work.
tell them?
Because what I was gonna say is, yes, you are a little bit younger than I am, but baby, you got a story also. And I need you to tell your story. Okay. I need you to tell us some of the highs, some of the lows, some of the in-betweens. You know,
I
no, you
did.
didn't. No, 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 no. Because see, what the whole
I'm reading the
the
chat and
whole
I'm
thing
rolling.
about it is if we're going to ask people to interview them and we're going to get all off in their business, then they
Mm-hmm.
need to know a little bit about some of our business. And when I tell my story, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm going to get personal, and I need you to get a little personal. You don't have to give us intricate details, but that little summary that you just gave for 2 or 3 minutes, that wasn't even a 5 minute summary. So I'm gonna need you to dig a little bit deeper and get into
Okay.
it with
I
us.
mean, I think I'm pretty
It
boring,
doesn't matter what you
compared to
think.
your stories,
That
but
doesn't matter.
okay.
We just want your story because everybody's story is not the same. This is a safe space. And if anybody start trolling in this chat, they will be blocked. Okay. Or hidden. It depends on
Right.
what they say. But come on. This is our stories now. Come on with it now.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna
Thank
start
you.
over. Okay. Hi. All right. Now don't y'all say nothing else about what I'm about to say. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Keyvon. Okay. Deja Renee Cox Chapman. All right. I don't care about being doxxed. All right. So, I am 31 years old. I am a stay-at-home mother. Okay. I have 4 children. 2 boys, 2 girls. My oldest is 10 and my youngest is 4. I have been married for 7 years now. We have been together for 11. I currently have another YouTube channel that goes by Von's Reality, where I pretty much just do whatever I want to do. I am outspoken, um, pretty bold in whatever it is that I'm doing. um, a couple months ago, so April 13th, 2025, I gave my life over to Christ. Okay, so I am a, born again Christian, a babe in Christ. Um, I did that, and that is the start of my personal and spiritual journey. Okay, I did that because I went into a deep, deep depression. Okay, and I pretty much just gave up on life, and I was considering clocking out, if you know what that means. And I decided, that I wanted a new life, and I wanted to be a better mom to my children, a better wife to my husband. And with all of that being said, I'm just getting started, but I have, 10 years in experience of being a mother.
Stand by, y'all. She's trying to get KJ together. But we're gonna get the full story though. We're not gonna just let her scapegoat this. I don't know why she felt like she wasn't gonna be able to spill her guts, and she want me to spill mine. But here she come back, so we'll let her finish up.
Okay, I'm back. So I have 10 years of experience in being a mother. I had my first child when I was 21, and I have 7 years, experience being a wife. I got married pretty young, you guys, and I don't know if you know this or not, but yeah, but I have 7 years experience of being a wife. Okay, my passions and joy in life and joys in life, is pretty much just, having fun. And I am passionate about speaking up for other people. And, you know, I consider myself a good friend, a wonderful daughter, amazing niece. um, yeah, so that's all I got. And I decided to, start this channel with I said what I said because it is important to me to grow into a successful and productive woman. Okay, Proverbs 31 woman, a virtuous woman. And I feel that with this channel and with sharing my stories with other women here on YouTube, and y'all going through, the journey with me, of spiritual growth in God, and getting to know myself. Because if you're a mother, or you're a wife, or you just experienced losing yourself in life. I lost myself for a really long time, and I decided, to get it back all together. And I decided to do that with God and with the support of my mother. So that's why sisterhood is very important to me these days, because with the help of my mother and my aunt and my grandmothers and my amazing support system here on YouTube, I have chosen to do that, and I feel that I have a village around me in order to do that. And that's all I got, sis. Okay, because I'm start crying and stuff. I don't want to do
Well,
that.
that's what the channel is about. We want you to cry. We want you to spill your guts out. Because if you spill out your guts, then you get to
Is you gonna start crying when you tell
I
your
might,
story?
I
Why?
might,
Why you can go first?
I just might start crying. Who knows? Y'all know me. I might do anything. Ain't no telling what might come up. But at the end of the day, by you telling your story, you need to realize that this will help you release, and that's what this channel is about. The name of the channel say what? What is the name of the channel, guys? Waiting to exhale. So I need you to exhale.
Y'all want to know? Y'all want to know why she beat me up? Because I convinced her to tell
That's
her
right.
story.
That's right. And so if I'm gonna tell my story and exhale, I'm gonna need you to exhale a little bit more often too, because at the end of the day, how do you feel? So it look like I might need to just do make this an interview of your story. So how do you feel as being a young mother? What are your struggles as far as you being a young mother? How do you deal with that, and how do you cope with that every day? Because personally, I can't
Hmm.
imagine having 4 children at one time, and still keeping my sanity. Um, and I'll give you a
Mm-hmm.
guy. I'm gonna give you guys part of my story, but the way that I raised my kids are 14 years apart. So it's like I basically raised my kids one at a time. So my question to you is, how can you raise 4 kids and still be the woman that you are, and how are you able to still accomplish the things that you get accomplished along with taking care of your household? That's one question that I have, because I am amazed with the things
Mm-hmm.
that you're able to do and still be a mother and a wife.
Okay. So, in the spirit of transparency, it is not at all easy. Um, Having 4 children, 2 years apart. Um, and I don't really think I keep my sanity. But okay, what I have done, and what I've even started, back doing, which I don't want to say back doing, but what I've picked up again is spending more time by myself. Like I said, I'm a new Christian now, so I read my Bible. I listen to gospel music. I've recently started buying coloring books again. I journal. But most importantly, when I keep to schedule, so for example, bedtime, dinner time, you know, um, keeping them busy, letting them play, outside, even playing with them. And I just be honest and say that's not always my favorite time of the day because, they want me to do all this weird stuff. But what I do, what really does help me, like get through the day is keeping a schedule. And sometimes it's hard to because I'm not really a strict mom, but like I said, in this new season, I'm about, sticking boundaries, keeping my word, and staying focused. So what you really have to keep a schedule when you have so many small children. And most importantly, you have to, self-care. Otherwise, like I said, you're just gonna, be tired all the time. You're gonna, feel like you're trapped, or you're gonna feel like, there's no way out. Like it's just gonna get really dark and just bad. So what I try to do is just, hold on, to Jesus, the hem of his garment, pray, because it's also financially just a little, bit of a struggle, because my husband, he has a career, he makes really good money, but we live in the state of Illinois, okay? And my kids, it seems like my kids grow really fast, okay? It seems like they tear up everything, okay? And and I'm here by myself a lot. So I rely on, my father or my aunt, to babysit for me. I definitely rely a lot on my mother, like we talk a lot, she gives me, different suggestions, to make things easier for myself. Um so yeah, that's kind of how I keep my sanity, my village, a schedule, prayer, um self-care time. Need time to myself, so I'll turn all the TVs off. We'll have quiet time. That has been a really big thing in my house these days because too much noise messes with like my, I guess you can say, anxiety, my nervous system. I get overstimulated. But I'll turn all the TVs off, light me a candle, and just, relax. Like I said, journal, read the Bible, play some soft gospel music, um, and just meditate and pray, talk to the Lord. What shall I do? What steps should I take? What move should I make? Where is your faith in God? Okay, so that's what I be over here doing.
Okay, that sounds great because I remember as a young mother, I used to be tired all the time because I actually worked while I was raising my children. So I never found enough time in the day. The 24 hours for me was just never enough. And I was, somewhat of a perfectionist. So I felt like everything had to be done the right way, or just, or it just wasn't right with me. And so I just feel like sometimes as women, we're very hard on ourselves. So I do take my hat off to you, because I do understand that that require a lot. That requires a lot. um I heard you say my husband has a career, but I don't have one. Well, baby, let me tell you something. Being a mama is a career, okay? And you're fortunate enough to stay at home with your children. And I feel like your children will be better off and more rounded, and I feel like that they will be more successful in life just because they have their mom, their dad, and they have a stay-at-home mom. Because a lot of times when your mother works, it take away from the time from the kids, although the working mothers may not want to admit that, or may not have even recognized that. I feel like your kids are better off when you do stay at home with
Hmm.
them. And one thing you don't have to worry about is my child being mistreated while I'm at work? Because that was always one of my things that I had to worry
Hmm.
about and stress about when I was working. Because see, it's okay to have a job and a career and kids, but on the flip side of that, you have to worry about, are your kids okay? Is that person treating my baby okay? Is my baby eating the way that they need to eat?
Hmm.
Are they getting the attention that they need? And Lord forbid, when they are a small baby. And I'm gonna just give you a prime example. When I had my son, his great auntie was keeping him, right? And one day I came
Hmm.
home from work early. And when I went to the babysitter, my baby was like 3 months old. I knock on the door and she have my baby on this couch with a bottle propped up to his mouth at 3 months. And we all know, as a mother, you don't lay a 3-month baby down on the couch and let them feed themselves. And so
Absolutely
and
not.
so I
They
was
will choke.
totally upset about that. And I actually fired her on the spot. When I got ready to get all of his stuff, I noticed that she had some rat droppings in his milk. And I was horrified. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, for giving me the mindset to leave work early. And I don't even know why I left work early. All I know is I got off early. I went to this lady's house, and my baby was laying on the couch with a bottle propped up in his mouth, and possibly could have been drinking milk from rat droppings. Because when I get go to get gather his things up, I'm seeing rat droppings in the other part of the milk. And so I actually fired her on the spot and just told her he would no longer be coming to you anymore. And I just called his grandmother,
Hmm.
asked her could she keep him until I found another babysitter. So those are some of the things that working mothers have to deal with, Vaughn. And so I want you to be a little bit
Hmm.
more okay with you being a stay-home mom, because I think it's awesome. And I think your children are better off with you staying at home with them. And that way, whatever happens to your kids, that's because mommy let it. That's because mommy is doing it. Okay. And so I feel like the kids will be better
Hmm.
off, and they'll be as far as mentally, they'll be better mentally, emotionally, and they'll be more connected to you because you are there with them, and you are going to be the ones who can influence them, in my opinion, more than somebody on the outside will be able to influence them. So kudos to you for staying at home and taking care of your kids. And the last question that
Well,
I
thank
have
you,
you
sis.
no problem. The last question that I have, for you is what are your dreams and your ambitions? Do you plan to be a stay-home mom until the kids graduate, or are you just waiting for your youngest to get in school to start maybe possibly, looking further into what you want to do in life? Because yes, you are there for your kids, but you also have to be fulfilled as a woman yourself. So what goals and dreams and aspirations do you have for yourself in the future? And when do you plan on, is there a timeline, if you do have anything else that you want to do other than be a mom? Have you kind of mapped that out, thought it out, or have a time frame for it? Or, kind of give us a little insight on that.
Okay. So yes, right now I am staying home to finish school, and I have an idea of what I would like to do. Once I finish school, I am waiting, to secure my youngest child because we are, figuring some things out for him. I will share with y'all, but like I said, I just haven't figured it all out. But I'm waiting to secure, his, situation, and because we've had like some struggles, with him, from birth, and we're just trying to figure that part out. Well, I'm gonna say more so me because I I I I worry more than my husband does. My mother and my honor in this chat right now, so they will concur that. So it's really not KJ that is holding me back. If anything, I feel I'm holding him back, um, because I almost um, we just struggle with him, and I'm very overprotective, and I just want anybody to mistreat him, you know. And I know that sometimes, we hold on to our kids. They don't necessarily need us, we need them. And I can honestly say KJ is that child. Um, so once I figure, that part out, then yes, I will be going back to work. I have worked, like I said before. I've done office jobs, restaurants. I worked in the school system, and yeah. So I think right now I'm just focusing on tying up some loose ends, which is my schooling. I feel that once I get that out of the way, I'll be more secure in myself because it'll be truthfully my first self accomplishment. For those of you who don't know, I did not finish high school, and I am actually a little ashamed of that. I recognize it when I'm around, other women. Like I said, what I said, my aunt, you know, um, my mother, who have like degrees and, certifications, my best friend, I recognize it. It's like, man, if I would have finished, school, I could be so much further in life. I've even been told, oh, Vaughn, I would never know that about you based on your conversation. You're very smart, you're very bright. I just don't believe it myself. So I think a part of me kind of holds on to this, oh, I need to be with my kids because, I purposely neglect myself, and try to use the kids as a distraction. I will totally be honest about that. I said I wasn't going to, but I'm doing it. Because what I think I am most afraid of is failure. Um, I am afraid of failing myself and not really putting it on paper. And it's not that I can't read or I can't write or anything like that. It's just I really suck in math. So when I get in front of that test, and the general education test, um, uh, I kind of freeze up because I have never taken the actual test, you guys, and I freeze up and I'll be like, oh, I'll just go find a job. But what'll happen is I'm working these jobs, and I start succeeding, and it's like, oh, we want to promote you, and we want to, and all you need is, and it's like, oh. So yeah. So I have an idea of what I want to do. I just have to be consistent and believe in myself in order to do it. And I struggle with self doubt, you know, um, and like I said, I have a fear of failure. And it's not that I don't even try; it's that I get there and I'm doing just fine. I've taken classes, and I've you know um, oh, okay, we're gonna do the next part. And when it gets hard and when it gets frustrating, I pretty much just shut down because I start to think, you're older, you're just not as a quick thinker. I kind of start beating myself up, and I pretty much talk myself out of it. And I say, as long as my kids graduate high school, as long as they go to college. But like I said, what happened was I decided that I want to be a better example to my girls, and I not to my boys, but I think about how much I loved and admired my own mother, her beauty, her intelligence, when I was growing up. And no matter what she did, she always, did her best. And I used to, see my mother tired. I used to see her frustrated and overwhelmed, but she never gave up. She kept going. And I think that, when I think about that, it's like, my mother wasn't lazy, and she wasn't a quitter. And, she didn't raise a quitter, and she did not raise us to be, lazy, and she didn't raise us to, give up. She actually was the total opposite. She persevered in everything that she went through, even when she, well, what other people would say was, her rock bottom. She still got up every single day and was productive. And I saw that even as an adult. And when I thought about that, and when I think about that, it's like, well, what example am I setting for my girls? Because, and close friend of the family, aunt of mine, a long time ago, y'all, like maybe 5 years ago. And she was just joking. She didn't mean, anything by it, because that's what we do in our family. She said, "Do you know your daughter just told me, women, girls don't work. That's what, the daddies are for, or something like that." And I thought it was funny because I actually had a part-time job. but you would think, I didn't, because, and my mom and my aunt can attest to this. I work, and I don't, I work for about, like, 4 hours out the day, but I always had another job where I work. So I thought about that. And my daughter is very smart, y'all. In fact, I believe she's brilliant, and so are my other three children. They are all brilliant, and they have like this light in their eyes when they just talk to me and their dad. And when I see that, it makes me feel like, they deserve so much more. And I get emotional because, we want to give our kids, the world, and we want to, um, succeed for our children, but sometimes we just can't get past ourselves. And so I said all that to say, that is what I am currently, going through. And recently on my channel, I told you I made a decision, and I'm going to stick to it. And, I won't be on the other channel anymore. We're only going to be over here one day out of the week. and I am elated because I know that it's not just me, who has had this. I didn't just come up with this on my own. I was, what do I do? What step do I take? And he told me, decency and in order. And, so I feel if I tie up this loose end, once and for all, and, stop, being all distracted and, you know, um, just discouraging myself, because I am a child of the Most High God. And, he says I am, beautifully and wonderfully made, in his image. And I know I'm talking a whole lot about Jesus, y'all, but honestly, because I feel that I have God on my side and that he will bring me through anything. And, I've been asking him for strength. And when I tell y'all, it's like more clear on what it is that I need to do. And the distractions are just falling to the wayside. There's not all this noise and clutter in my mind and in my spirit anymore. And, all I have to do is be obedient. And I know that, the rest will just happen. It'll fall into place.
Well,
So,
thank you for that, Vaughn. Um,
yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Are you still need to tell a little more? Oh,
I
okay.
thank you, sis. Thank you for pushing me.
Oh, no problem,
But
sis. No problem.
let's
You
talk
know how
about
I
you
do.
now.
Okay, we will. But I got a few things I want to respond to that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
First of all, you have made, in my opinion, you've made a few accomplishments that you're not recognizing yourself. First of all, you were able to be a mother, so that's an accomplishment. Okay.
Mhm.
You have four beautiful children, so in my opinion, that's an accomplishment. You're able to be a wife for what you said, 7 years. That's another accomplishment, because a lot of people haven't gotten that far yet, and they're older than 30. So I feel like the milestones that you've made, you're not giving yourself credit for. I think you're just thinking that because you don't have a high school because you don't have a high school certificate and you didn't graduate, you feel like that's a failure. But it's a lot of people in America that hasn't graduated. But one thing you did say to let us know that that piece of paper don't mean anything other than you spent the time to do the schooling and that you're teachable, because that's all these certificates are. When you accomplish a goal, when you get a certificate, when you get a degree, all that really means is that you actually was able to do the work, complete the time, and that you're a teachable type person. You said you've had several jobs. They wanted to promote you, but you couldn't get promoted because you don't have the high school, diploma. And that's a very easy fix. All you have to do is just take your GED and you can accomplish that goal. um, you're in a great time in today's time, because you don't have to do what we did. You don't have to actually go physically to the building. You can get anything you want online. Okay. And so you don't even have to leave the house to accomplish some of the goals that you said that you want to do later on in life. And so I really want you to start celebrating the things that you have accomplished and stop putting yourself down so much. You may not feel like that there are accomplishments, but I can guarantee you it's somebody looking at you and saying, I wish I was in her shoes, especially not having to work and got a man taking care of you, baby. Let me tell you something, baby, that's an accomplishment right there. Okay. Because it's not that many men doing that for their wives, and it's not many people able to live on one income and still be prosperous and not be um, homeless. Okay, so you and your husband are doing a great job, and y'all do have an accomplishment. And I'm going to take him out the equation because this is not about him, it's actually about you. But just with you staying at home taking care of your children every day, in my opinion, that's an accomplishment. Because I can't tell you how many women, and I got some people in my family this way, It's a lot of women leaving these kids with these men now too. I hope you guys understand that too. It's not mama's baby, daddy's maybe no more. Nowadays, it's a lot of women walking right out that door and say, "You take care of these crumb snatchers, cause I'm going to go live my best life." Okay. So in my mind, you're doing just fine, ma'am. Okay. And stop being so hard on yourself because you are somebody and you are doing a great job. And like I said, I don't think I could raise four kids at one time. I just don't think I had the patience for that. So I feel like your story is better than what you think it is, and that's why people are always complimenting you and just listening to you speak. There's If you wouldn't have told us that you didn't finish high school, we wouldn't have known. Based on how articulate you are, how smart you are, and how quickly you adapt to whatever. And so I just want to salute you and take my hat off to you. And I want to encourage you to keep on moving, keep on pushing, keep doing what you're doing. And anything else that you like, that you want to add to, well, baby, let me tell you something. You still a baby, okay? You're only 30 years old. And think about it like this. Don't be like me, because at the end of the day, I could have been finished at 30, probably 34, 35. But I had those kids 14 years apart. So I had to wait all the way up until my 40s before I was finished. The rate that you've had your kids, and yes, it's a lot of pain right now, but you'll be able to have a lot of gain, because guess what? By the time you hit 40, all them kids gonna be out your house. And you're gonna be done. You can just you can do your hands like this and say, "Well done, I'm done." Okay, so, and even at 40, even if you wait until till the last one graduate, that's still enough time for you to go be whatever you want to be, if you want to wait that
Hmm.
long. So it's all up to you, and kudos to you. And so I'm looking at this chat. Everybody is praising you and wishing you well. And everybody, read some of those comments while I tell my story, because, like I said, you're doing the doggone thing, okay, ma'am? You are doing a great job, and I just want to make sure that you understand that.
Well, thank you, sis.
You're welcome. So now here come my story. So y'all get y'all tissues out or whatever. Y'all might even have to have a drink on my story, because baby, let me tell you, I've been through a journey, okay? And so
Light a cigarette.
yeah, yeah, get your
Smoke
beer,
your
get your
weed.
cigarettes, do whatever, go get comfortable, baby, because here comes the story. We got a whole big old story to tell you, and I'm not going to even give you all the intricate details, because once again, I am much older than Bond. So I'm gonna start out and let you guys know my age, which is 59. And so my story is similar to Von's story. And I really feel like that's why we connect so well together. And I'm always telling her, girl, I'm just reliving my life by being around you. And a lot of it is true, because a lot of the story, Von kind of left some of it out. But when you hear my story, you'll see why we're very similar when it comes to our story. So my story begins with a little 12-year-old girl, okay, that started out working. Well, let's even go back.
Wait, sis. Wait, sis. We going way, way,
Well,
way
yeah,
back.
yeah,
Okay.
because
All
that's
right.
what I,
All right.
yeah,
Y'all
that's really
listen.
what I wanted you to do. But since you wanted to uh, fast forward your story, so yeah, I'm gonna give you my whole full story, because it's one thing that you don't know. I've been on a lot of different panels, and these women have been waiting for me to tell my story, especially with the amount of times that I've been
Hmm.
married. So they all been wondering and waiting for me to give this story out to them. So here it goes, ladies. So my story started out with a 12-year-old girl that started out wanting to work. And keep in mind, prior to me being 12 years old, I am the middle child. My mom have four children. Me and my three of us were born 1 month, 1 year, and a couple of days apart. So our birthdays are April, May, June. one year after the other without giving you out too much information. And me and my brother' birthday is 1 month, 1 year, and 2 days apart. Okay, so that's how close my mom had her children. She didn't wait 2 years like Bond. She actually had her children bam, 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 bam. And then she waited 10 years to have my baby sister. So there is a total of four of us. Okay. And my baby sister is part of this story. Um, I am the middle child, but my sister did not want the role of being the oldest. So guess who signed up to be the oldest of the family? That would be me. Okay. Um, and I heard Vaughn say that her child is having some difficulties. Well, I was that child also. um I didn't actually talk, and believe this or not, I didn't actually talk until I was about 4 or 5 years old. And it's not that I couldn't talk, it's just that I wouldn't talk. Because I was always that child that really didn't trust people, really didn't want to be around a lot of people, and I'm still kind of like that today. Even though I have a bubbly personality and I joke and laugh a lot, um, I still prefer to call myself. I'm still considered as a loner because I don't be around a lot of people a lot, and I have my reasons for that. But we're gonna fast forward, and I just want to give you a little background of why of who I am. And like I said, my sister didn't want to be in charge, so I was in charge of the family when my mom went to work, and I was in charge of delegating all the chores to everybody and ensuring that they got done. And I started doing that at a very early age. I'm talking about 7 years old. I have a picture where I'm standing up in a chair and washing dishes. And if my mom did that today, I think CPS will be on her back about it. So some of this stuff, back in the 70s, people got away with, they can't get away with it today. But, we used to joke and laugh all the time about you will be in jail for the things that you done to us. Because we also were latchkey kids, meaning we walked home from school. I'm talking about first grade, walked home from school, opened that door up, had that key around our neck, and then we would all go in the house and lock the door until our mom came home. So you can't do that today either. But fast forward to 12 years old, I've always been the type of kid that wanted more, right? Because my mom did work, but she had three kids and she couldn't just give me what I wanted. So I always said is when I got old enough that I was going to get a job. So I started working out. I started going to work when I was 12 years old. And me and my cousin got the big idea that we were gonna chop some cotton. Okay. So we get on, we sign up, we have the man to come pick us up, we get on a cotton field truck, and we go out there to start chopping cotton. And we only lasted for a day and a half. That first day, we muscled through it and we were tired, but we were complaining. There wasn't enough water. It was too hot. We didn't have enough snacks, so on and so forth. We had to complain about everything. And also, the rows was just way too long for us to chop that cotton to even go to the next row. So that second day of chopping cotton, we went home for lunch and we made the decision at lunch that we wasn't going back because hell, it was just too hard for us and we just couldn't do it. And maybe we was too sheltered or whatever, but it was just too hot out there for us to do that. So we had to sit that one out. And we got our little 40 or 30 or $40, and we were happy about that. But I never got out the mindset that I wanted to work. So that very next year, the government came up with a program called CETA, and some of the women that's my age can relate to this. I was able to go to work at 13 years old with the government, and it was called the CETA program. And so every summer, up until from 12, I mean from 13 all the way up until high school, I was able to go to work and work for the summer and buy all of my school clothes, buy my little sister's school clothes, and just buy me whatever I wanted. Because, like I said, my mom would buy us things, but it was just never enough. And she never quite got the kind of material. And, she would like go to Kmart, and I kind of wanted her to go to JC Penney's. So my taste was always above of what she could afford, right? And I feel like I got that from my father because my father, real life story, was really a real pimp in real life. Okay. And he dressed up all the time. Although I didn't see him that often, I didn't really know him. He didn't really raise me. I think I got his taste though when it comes to clothes. So I always wanted to be dressed up. And my mom would always just buy me, regular school clothes. But no, I wanted, suits and boots. And, I wanted things that she couldn't afford. So I went to work and bought the things that I wanted to wear, and I bought my little sister the things that she wanted. And another thing about my little sister, my mom never really had to take care of her. And I called her my first child, because from the time that my mother had my little sister, I took care of her. My mom didn't have to get up in the middle of the night and feed her bottles or change her diapers. She didn't have to comb her hair. She didn't have to get her dressed. I did all of that. She had her when I was 11 years old. And it was like I had a baby at 11, and my maternal instinct just kicked in immediately when my mom had that baby. So my mother didn't have to worry about her too much, because keep in mind, I'm already taking care of the house at 7 while she's at work. So a baby to me was just nothing extra for me to do. And so I always said, and I used to tell her, I said, well, and she used to ask me, why do you want to help me take care of this baby? I said, well, you got a lot of kids and you need some help. So that's why come I don't mind helping you taking care of this baby or what have you. And she just used to laugh, and she used to say, you just way wiser and you're way older than what your age is. And so, like I said, I worked throughout the summers until I got to high school. Well, by the time I got into 10th grade, the CETA program had ended, and I couldn't work for CETA at that time. So what I did was, you had seniors that was already in this other program that I'm going to tell you about. You had some seniors that was working half a day and going to school half a day. And those were considered the people that really didn't want to go to college, that was just going to school just to get that piece of paper that Vaughn was complaining about. And so they wasn't really into school. They were more into their work than they were school. But a lot of them couldn't pass English, because when I was in school, you had to write a paper. You had to write you had to write your what is it called, your senior paper, in order to get out of school. Well, I was always great in English. That was my thing. And one more thing, Vaughn, I hated math also. Okay, so you're not alone on that one. I hate math. I still hate math today. But I used to write those senior papers for them so that they could graduate. And I would charge them $25 per paper, because writing a paper for me was nothing. That was my thing. I used to love English. I used to love to dissect the sentences, pick out the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, the predicates, dissect I would dissect the sentences. That was just my English was just always my subject, and I always made an A in that. And so I would make money by writing their senior paper for them for $25. And then when I got in the 11th grade, Vaughn, put your thing on mute. And then when I got in the 11th grade, I was able to get into this program called DECA. And that's where you actually go to school half a day and you work half a day. Now, keep in mind, I only wanted that program. It wasn't that I didn't care for school that much and wasn't planning on graduating. It was the fact that I was able to work, because keep in mind, work was always my goal. It always appealed to me, because it always appealed to me to make money for whatever reason at a very young age. So I got into the program just so that I could make money and get out of school half a day, and that was other benefits. So when I did that, that's when I met my first husband in the 11th grade. I'm thinking I'm like 15 years old, 15 or 16, getting ready to be 16, and that's when I met my first husband. I dated him for a year, and then by that next year, I was all in. So it was time to get married. So I married him. As soon as I got married to him, 3 months later, here I go getting pregnant with my child. So I had my child the beginning of May, and I walked across the stage at the end of May. I had it had only been like 3 weeks before I was able to walk across the stage. I was fortunate enough, because I had, you have to have those credits to graduate, right? So I was fortunate enough to stay at home after the second semester of my senior year because I had enough credits, and the only class that I needed was history, I believe. And the principal at that time, he gave me two options. He told me I could go to school, but he really preferred that I didn't because he didn't want me to um, influence the other girls because that's how they felt about you back in the day when you were pregnant. They thought that you were gonna they felt like you would influence the other kids, so they preferred that you go to the school for the pregnant girls. Well, I didn't want to go to school with the pregnant girls. Okay, i only had um I only had like a one semester that I had to finish up because like I said, I went the first semester, and then the second semester I was able to stay at home and do homeschooling and just finish out my work then. So no one at school knew I was pregnant. No one knew. They knew I got married, but they didn't know that I was pregnant, right? And so I was able to finish school, and I, like I said, I had my baby, and then after that I just went ahead and after I had her, I went to work. My grandmother was keeping my child while I was at work, so I was fortunate to have a family, a trusted family member to keep my child. And at the end of the day, my grandmother didn't have any other children over there. So she was over there with my grandmother a lot. Right. Now, keep in mind, this is a grandmother that really didn't care about me, but loved my child to death. And so that's a crazy dynamic within itself. But I trusted my grandmother because I had to be around her whether I wanted to or not. But she took great care of my child. As a matter of fact, she actually spoiled my child because my child wouldn't even eat cereal. You know, when you're a young mother, you try to throw some cereal in the kids' plate or give them a sandwich or something. Well, my grandmother spoiled my daughter, so my daughter wanted breakfast every morning. She wanted eggs and bacon and pancakes and ham and rice, and I'm like, "Well, why you just can't eat cereal like other children?" And so, she basically spoiled my daughter. So I'm just working and I'm just married, and my marriage was fine for about the first 5 years, and then the second 5 years it kind of went to crap, right? And so I just won't go into the intricate details of all of what happened throughout the marriage, but let's just put it like this: it was some cheating going on, it was some disrespect going on, and I'm in my early 20s. So you know how we are. We're hot-headed when we're in our 20s. We don't have any patience. So the whole thing, well, we're gonna, in your 20s, you be like, oh, I don't have to deal with this. I can get somebody else. So that's basically what I did. I after about 9 years, I stayed there about 9 years. And so it was about 4 years that I kind of, like I said, the first 5 years were great, but then the last 4 years was kind of like, eh. So I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I can do better than this. I am who I am because I had a lot of confidence. Okay, I'm like, I don't have to put up with this ninja. I can go get me another one. And so that's exactly what I did. But when I got a divorce, I moved out of town, and I did that to protect both of us because my husband was very overbearing, and he didn't want me to leave, and I knew that I was going to have a hard time if I would have stayed in the same city with him. And so I was going in and out of town to the town that I moved in anyway, and I had already met my son's father, right? And so he and I started talking, and we started vibing and started really wanting to see each other because we were driving. Both of us was going in and out of town trying to see each other. One time he'll come to my town, the next time I'll go to his, which was only about 3 hours away, but nevertheless, it still was a distance. And so my best friend and I was working at the same place, and it's actually her hometown, and she actually transferred from my job and she moved home. And so she encouraged me. She was like, "Well, why don't you just move down here with me?" And I was like, "Well, hadn't never thought about it, because I'm in my hometown. I've never left home before." So I was kind of reluctant at first. But then, after he kept giving me a hard time and kept trying to get back with me, and I really didn't want him, but he was like being a nuisance. And so I was like, you know what? That probably be the best thing. So I made the decision to leave my hometown and moved to another town, and that's where I met, and that's when I got married to my second husband. We dated for about a year, and at the end of the day, y'all, it don't take me long, when I was younger, it didn't take me long to hook up with somebody, and it sure didn't take that long for me to fall in love with people because I was just very young and naive at that time, and a lot of women are, and so that's why I give grace to women because, like I said, we've all played the fool a time or two, okay, and so at the end of the day, um, he and I got married, and it wasn't like I thought it was gonna be. And let me just go ahead and throw this disclaimer out. I also like the institution of marriage. Okay. And so uh when a dude get with me and we vibing and he said let's get married, I'm like, okay, well, let's go ahead and do that. Because to me, when you're married, it's more benefits than it is not to be married. Okay. It's a lot of things you ain't gotta do. You're financially secured, and I just actually like being married, and I think I was just used to being married. And to be honest with you, my second husband, in my opinion, really was a rebound from my first husband. Because my first husband, let me just tell you something. Although he had his faults, he was very, very good to me. I didn't have to work if I didn't want to. I chose to work. And a lot of times I didn't have to clean the house like that. I didn't have to cook like that. This dude could fix cars. He was just a jack of all trade and master of none. There was nothing that he couldn't do. And me being naive, I'm thinking every man is like this. So when I married my second husband, I'm thinking he's going to do all these things that my first husband did. Lo and behold, I got food, baby. Let me tell you, that was a whole total different experience. This guy couldn't even change a tire on a car. And I thought something was wrong with him. Like, why can't you do anything? Why don't you know how to do anything? Because I'm thinking all men should be able to do all things, that my first husband did. And so I just got surprised. And it was a lesson learned for me. And what my second husband would do is he would work a lot so that he wouldn't have to be at home. He had like three jobs, right? And so I never hardly got to see him that much. Yes, we were together and we were married, but I never got to see him because he was working like three jobs. He had a full-time job, a part-time job, and then he would work at the club on the weekends as a bouncer. And so I was married, but I wasn't married. I was basically I was basically by myself a lot. And so I didn't like it much, but I still, stood by him. And so I had a baby by him. And keep in mind, when I married him, he was not a preacher. He wasn't. He was just a guy. He was just a regular dude, but his father was a preacher. And so, like, probably after about 3 or 4 years of us being together, he comes to me and he tells me that God has called him to be a preacher. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah. He said, I got the calling, and I think that I'm gonna go ahead and answer, and I'm supposed to be a preacher. So me with my crazy self, I said, well, what did God tell you? And he say, well, he just told me that I need to be in the pulpit. I said, well, how did his voice sound? And he was like, it's not a voice. I said, well, how do you know it was him calling you? I'm like, I need some, I'm trying to get a concrete answer, an answer that would make sense in the mortal form. And so, I had all these questions, and I never really believed that he was called. I just felt like he wanted to do that because his father was a preacher, because that's my like 28-year-old mind, 28, 29, something of that nature. That's what my mind is thinking at that time.
I understand,
And
sis.
so yeah, and so I couldn't understand how he could say that God called him, and he couldn't tell me, he couldn't give me a lot of context, about it. And so I've always side-eyed him, and I never really believed that God called him. Okay, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to realize. I'm talking about maybe a decade, like a decade. It took a long time, a decade, for me to really come to the conclusion that this man's supposed to be a preacher. And I was like, well, I said he'll be preaching, but he'll just do that for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I ain't gotta wait. I ain't gotta worry about that long. He'll put that down. It'll be like everything else that he does. Because sometimes people start things and they don't finish them. So I thought that that's what he was gonna do with that. But here we are, 20 years later, and this guy is still a preacher. So I actually believe that God probably called him. You know, just a slight doubt. Okay, and so so that's how I wound up being married to a preacher the second time. And in between the time that we were married, I was, you guys can believe this or not, I was taking birth control pills, but I was real, real tired. And that's when I was telling Vaughn, I don't know how you do that because I'm working and I got a daughter and I'm just tired all the time. So where do you find the energy? So while I was working one day, I was explaining to this older lady, I was like, I'm so tired all the time. I don't know what's going on. Do you think something wrong with me? She was like, well, maybe you just need to take some vitamins. And I was like, well, I really don't like vitamins. She said, I know what, just get you some Geritol. Baby, let me tell you, don't take
Oh no.
Geritol, y'all. Do not take no Geritol. Baby, I took that Geritol and I got pregnant on the pill messing around with some Geritol. And
Yes.
and I was totally shocked when these people told me that I was pregnant because I'm like, I'm good. I'm taking these pills. My daughter like 13. And so there's no way on this God green earth that I can be pregnant, right? And so I one day while I was pregnant and didn't realize I was, my breasts just started hurting real bad. I mean, they hurt so bad. And that didn't happen to me in my first pregnancy because we all know anybody that have more than one child know every pregnancy is different. And so I'm thinking that I probably got breast cancer because, I'm a big conspiracy theorist and I'll give myself something, that I don't even have. But in my mind, this is what I got. So I'm all sad thinking that I got breast cancer. And keep in mind, at that time, I found out that my mom had colon cancer at this time also. And so I was like, well, my mom got colon cancer, so I probably got breast cancer. So I diagnosed myself with breast cancer. And I was working at this dialysis center at that time. And this RN, she and I were good friends. And she told me, she said, well, I don't think you have breast cancer. She said, I think you're pregnant. And I was like, oh no, I can't be pregnant. My daughter 13 years old and I be taking pills and blah, blah, this and that. I'm protected. And so we did. She said, well, let me just take your blood. We took a blood test, and lo and behold, I was shocked. I was pregnant. So that's how my son came along because in actuality, I wasn't planning on having any more kids because it hurt too much and I didn't want to go back down that road again. Okay. That just wasn't my thing. And all you got to do is tap me on the shoulder one time and I kind of learned my lesson, except for marriages. Okay. I don't learn my lesson. I didn't learn my lesson on that real easily. But anything else, I would learn my lesson. And so, lo and behold, I found out I'm pregnant. And I am married at this time. And so, but my husband wasn't really husbanding enough for me. He wasn't really being a husband. I'm having all these women call me once again because, we're still young. So, and he's the pastor of the church. So, well, not the pastor, but, he was just an associate preacher of the church. And so, anytime anybody that go to church know preachers are, prime target. They're the prime rib when it comes to men. And for whatever reason, women want to, they want the preacher for whatever reason. And so I'm having all of these women coming to me, talking, telling me this and that and the other. So I start doing my own investigation, and lo and behold, I find out he's cheating. And so my mom was sick at that time. And so I'm like, you know what? Once again, impulse. I'm not that happy. Let me just get on down the road and go be with my mama because she might, she got cancer. She actually need me and she'll appreciate me more than this ninja is. So I'm gonna let you in this church, folks. I'm gonna let y'all have all of this. And I really wasn't never on board with it anyway, although I was in the church with him all the time. And that's when I learned about church. I done did numerous car washes, dinners, cakes. I was on a mission board. I was teaching Sunday school. I was doing church talks. I was in the choir and shouldn't have been in there because I can't sing. But I was doing all the church stuff. I was at church on Monday night for mission. I was in church on Wednesday night for prayer meeting. We was in church on Saturday for choir rehearsal. We was in church for Sunday morning service. evening evening service, because if we're not at our church, we got to go to somebody else's church. And if it wasn't going to somebody else's church, then it was anniversary time. So let me just tell you, baby, I done put my work in for the Lord. Okay, I worked for the Lord for about 10 years, 10 to 15 years good. So that's why I say I'm gonna give me a reflector jacket in heaven. Okay, and I'm gonna be out there and working on the road. But I will. If I feel like I done did my time, I done put a lot of time into the church house. Okay, and basically, the marriage wasn't going well. I called him at his girlfriend house, because I don't just go by with what you say. If you tell me something, I may just say, okay, whatever, and then I'm gonna start investigating. Did my own investigation, find out he was cheating with so and sister so and so. While he was out praying for everybody, I guess he was doing a little bit more than praying on some of them late nights that he was going to go check on the folks or at the hospital or whatever. You know how the preachers do. They got to go check on everybody, and they take care of the whole church, and they take care of everybody except for what's in their household. They don't take care of their house. They take care of the congregation. Okay, so that's what that situation was. And so I'm like, I'm looking, I'm me, and he can't do me like this, and so I don't need him. I can just go get me somebody else. Okay, so bye. So my mom's sick. Let me go down here and help her out. So I moved to Dallas, and I go and spend some time with my mother. And I feel like that was the best decision that I could have ever made, because my mom actually really needed me. She had already been having cancer for like 5 years, and she didn't tell us until 5 years after she had cancer. So I guess she was going to try to take the treatment and try to overcome it. But I guess, she figured out after 5 years she wasn't going to be able to overcome it. And so she finally told us. And when she did that, that was just my confirmation that I needed to lead this ninja, and I need to go take care of my mom. And that's basically what I did. So in between with taking care of my mom, I'm working in Dallas. I find me a job, and I was this type of person. If I got a job and they paying me $13 an hour, and I see another job that I could be possibly qualified for, and they paying 13.50, bye bye to this job, and I'm going over here to make this $13.50. I'm gonna go and make this extra 50 cents. And so that's the type of person that I am when I was in the career field. So I met my third husband at a job fair that AT&T was having, right? So I'm really finna be important. I'm finna be a telephone operator. So in Dallas, the way that they hire people is they have like a job fair, or hiring session, or whatever you want to call it. And so it'd be a group of people putting in an application, and then you take a test, and they let you know whether or not they're going to call you for an interview. So I met my third husband there. He didn't tell me that he was a preacher. So I meet him. I have on this pantsuit, face full of makeup, and I had a cigarette in my hand. I transferred the cigarette from one hand to put it in the other hand so that I could shake his hand. So me and him talking, he pick it up, we started talking. He started capturing my attention, being extra, extra nice to me, buying me this and buying me that, picking up my clothes from cleaners, just being a real attentive man, just taking me out to nice restaurants, and we went to concerts, and we just did all kind of things in Dallas. It's a lot of things to do in Dallas. So we went to like the jazz bars, and we were going here and we were going there, and we were going to church also. And I couldn't figure out why church was so important to him. And I had already told him, I was married to this preacher, and I don't never want to be bothered with another preacher again, right? And so he was like, "Yeah, I understand. I understand." But he was like, "Well, I love the Lord, and I like to go in fellowship with the Lord on Sunday." And I was like, "All right." He was like, "And I would like for you to come to church with me." And I was like, "Well, okay, I'll go to church, but don't expect me to go to church every Sunday, because I'm just not doing that. I've been in church for a whole decade and I ain't going back no more. And I went as a child, so I feel like I got the message. Okay, I got the ideal of church." And so he was like, "Okay, well, just attend sometimes." And so, I started attending church with him maybe like once or twice a month. And then it got to the point where, he wanted me to go to church with him all the time. And I was kind of having a red flag, but I wasn't really paying it that much attention. But one thing I did notice was we was going to the Church of Christ. And I'm not Church of Christ, I'm Baptist. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't like these church. I said, I don't like Church of Christ. Y'all stay too long. It take y'all too long to get in contact with the Lord. And y'all testifying about stuff that y'all can control yourself. And I'm just not with that. And that's really, and I said, I just don't like the style. And I say, so I'm just not gonna go to church with you no more. And he was like, well, no, I really want you to go to church with me. How about I just find another church to go to? And so that's how we wind up in TD Jake's church, because he was like, well, it's a non-denominational church. So it's not Baptist, it's not Church of God of Christ. It's just no denomination. And we're just going to go to church. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, okay, that's fine with me. So we started going to the TD Jake's church. And all of a sudden, it was probably about a year and a half, he asked me to marry him. And I was like, well, I really don't want to get married again. I really, I like you, but I'm not in love with you. And he was like, oh, come on, you'll fall in love with me. And, it'll be okay. You've been married before. And I was like, well, I was real iffy, but he kept bugging
Wait,
me.
wait, sis. You really told that man you like him, but you wasn't in love with him, and he still married you?
Yeah.
Keep going, keep going.
Yeah, this is a true story. And I was like, I'm not in love with you. I said I like you, but I'm not in
I
love.
know. I just want to
And he
laugh.
was, well, I ain't laughing at it because it's true to me, so it's not funny. but
It's hilarious. So
but
keep going.
he was like, well, just you'll fall in love with me. And I was like, well, I said, I was like, I really don't want to. And he was like, and he just kept bugging me. He bugged me for about 6 months straight to marry him. And then finally he was like, well, I bought this house and I'm gonna upgrade your car. And so shoots. He did that. I was like, oh, okay. So he bought me a house, and it was like 2,500 square feet, and it had a big pool with a 12-inch pool with a 12-foot pool with a diamond board. And then he bought me that new Intrepid car, and the kind that was kind of round like. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can fall in love. Even though I knew I didn't love him, but I was like, maybe I can do this. And so we got so I kid you not. I kid you
So wait.
not.
So you said, you know what? Maybe I can find love
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay, keep
I
going.
was like, well, I like him and he's doing a lot for me. And maybe I could fall in love because that's, I'm still in my early 30s, still kind of young. And I told you I was very naive to life, because I never was really out there like that in the street. So, I'm just going on feelings and my little education experience in life. And that's all I was going on because I never really listened to my mom, which I should have, but I didn't. Right. So nevertheless, we got married because of the things that he could do for me. I'm just not gonna even lie to you guys. And then after we got married, he told me he was a preacher, and I felt
Uh,
deceived because I told him,
you
yeah,
were.
because I told him I did not want to be married to a preacher again based on the last experience that I had. So that was strike number one. And then strike number two, he acted like he was one type of person, because he said he was a Christian, he was a preacher, and this and that and the other. But he also was a gambler, and I didn't know that. He also wasn't organized. I didn't know that because he played like he was organized. Um, and really, when I found out that he was a gambler, that was strike three for me. And the reason why it was strike three for me, because I couldn't trust him anymore. And the way that I found out that he was a gambler, he gambled his whole paycheck one Friday night. He didn't come home with the whole night, and he gambled off his whole. He stayed at the gambling shack, and he gambled off his whole paycheck. And we were having to pay bills, and he didn't have any money because he spent all our money gambling, and he thought that he was going to win it back, and he didn't. So that was the last straw for me. So nevertheless, I had to exit him also. So
You did the right
but
thing,
keep in
sis.
mind, but in between all of those marriages, guys, I want Vaughn to hear this also. Um, I actually started school when I was married to my first husband. I went to a junior college. And so I would go to school and then I would stop. And when I first started school, I was going to school to be a legal not a legal secretary, but just what was called an executive secretary or something to do with the secretary. So that's what I initially started out at, right? So then when I got married again, I kept going to school. And the first school I was going to was a junior college. So when I got married the second time, I actually started going to a university. So when I started going to the university, I changed up my major because secretarian wasn't in at that time. Okay, because I was starting and stopping. So by the time I started the university, I changed my career over to political science. I started, I did my major in political science. And I still never was able to finish because I wasn't able to, go that often.
Here,
And I wasn't
throw it
able
away.
to take that many classes, but I always continued my education. Okay. And so by the time I got a divorce from my second husband, I still probably had maybe because I changed the degree over, you basically almost have to start over. They don't give you that much credit. So I still had 2 years to go. So when I was married the third time, I finished my school up. So, but in between all of that time, guess how long it took me to get this degree? And once again, I changed the major again. I changed it to business. So basically, it's like you going to all of these colleges, but you're having to start out over again because you keep changing your career field. And so by the time I got married the third time, that's when I finished and got my degree. But it took me 20 years to get a degree, little girl. Yes, it took me 20 years to get one 4-year degree because of me starting and stopping, changing career fields, going to different colleges, not being steadfast. So I don't want to hear about I don't have a high school diploma and I'm not enough or what have you, because a lot of times going to school doesn't happen overnight, especially when you have a family and you have things that you have to do. So you may have to start and you may have to stop. But I always stayed on it because that was just one thing that I wanted to accomplish, and that was to get my bachelor's degree. And y'all gonna laugh when y'all hear about why I wanted to get this bachelor's degree. I got this bachelor's degree and I wanted that accomplishment only so that I can put it on my obituary because I wanted my dash to count. I didn't want them to say, well, she lived and she was married and she worked at the grocery store, she worked at this place and she worked at that place. And then she had some kids and she died. So I wanted to have at least a degree on my obituary when I died. And that was the reason why I was relentless with getting that degree. At first, I wanted to be a secretary. Then I wanted to be in political science. And then by the time the third marriage came around, I was like, I need to finish this up because I got to have something on my obituary. So it wasn't so much that I was just wanting to launch business. It was just me wanting to accomplish the goal that I set out. And like I said, put something, make that dash count that's in the center. And um,
Mm-hmm.
so basically, that's really my life story. So after I got a divorce the third time, I just, went bought me a house and just finished raising my son. And then that's where my brother came into play. And he as soon as I moved into my home, him and his wife broke up. So he moved with me, lived with me for 5 years. So I helped raise his kids also. And then he moved out, got sick, and so then I and in between that time when he got sick, I got sick. And so I just left my job. The last day I left my job, I'll never forget. It was like in December on the 9th. And I'm not going to say what year. And I just told everybody, and I had already been in my job for like 20, 15, 16 years anyway. And so I just told everybody, I'm not coming back to this job no more. And I don't know if God worked that out the way that he worked it out, because I guess he needed me to take care of my brother or what have you. I don't know. But when I walked out the door, I told them that I wasn't coming back, and I never went back. And here I am here today. So that's my little story, and that's all, and that's it.
I got some questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Because I kind of skipped over it to, just to make the time go by.
You just skipped over. So, all right. So here's what I have gathered from this story, y'all. All right.
I told them that I wasn't.
I need to get married 3 times.
Girl, no, you do not. No. This story was told so that you won't get married 3 times. And and that you really need to be in love if you get married.
I am hollering. Okay, if you know me well, you know if anything, okay, I ain't going back down nobody's aisle, okay, because the commitments to God, get serious as you have heard in this story,
Or not,
okay.
or
So
not.
listen. Okay, so I have a question. Okay, so you have been married 3 times, okay. Two, are your children's fathers. Would you remarry any of the
No.
3 of them? Okay. Would you get married again?
I'm gonna lean towards no. I mean, he would have to
Mm-hmm.
be, a knight in shining. Well, hell, I already had a knight in shining armor, so I can't say that. I At this time I would say no. And the reason why I say no, because dating is not like it used to be. I just put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What did you learn what did you learn about yourself? Because I heard that, well, I know that you were actually
Yeah,
really
and
young.
that's how I was able to do
And
that many times, because I started out
mm-hmm,
very young and very early. And what I learned is
mm-hmm.
listen to your parents. Sometimes your mama is right. She know what's best for you. Don't listen to
And
yourself when you're young. Please listen to your parents. That's what I got out of that. And not
mm-hmm.
be so impulsive, and not just make hasty decisions. Because that's one thing that I used
Okay.
to do. And I didn't give much thought. If I did an investigation and I found out my theory was
Mm-hmm.
correct, then that's what I rolled with.
Okay. And what did you learn about yourself? And what did you learn about the 3 of them when you were married? Like what is something you took from all 3 situations? Or you can even tell us what you learned in each marriage about yourself and what you learned about
Well,
them
I
in the
learned
marriage as
that
well.
I was a doormat, and I let guys manipulate me, and I didn't stand up for myself in the nick of time. I let those guys take all of my good years from me, and I could have been actually doing something that was productive and constructive, like getting a career, and possibly opening up a business for myself, instead of wasting all of my time trying to find love and happiness from a man.
Hmm. And do you want to answer the other question about what did you learn about them or no?
Well, I've already told you what I learned about them.
Okay.
What I learned about
And
them,
if you could,
was all of them ruined my damn life. That's what I learned. They ruined my life, and they took my young good days. That's what I learned.
I am hollering. Okay. And if you could go back and do anything different, whether it's from the time you finished school or from your first marriage to your third marriage, any jobs you had, is there anything you would have done differently?
Not as far as jobs, because I've had all of the jobs that I wanted. I really did. And like I said, I've made good money on the jobs that I chose, because like I said, if a job paid more money, then I'm gonna go apply for it whether I'm qualified or not, and I get qualified when I get there. Okay, That's the way I look at things, because most jobs are going to train you on how they want you to do the job, unless it's like, you know, you need a certificate like a doctor, a lawyer, something of that nature. But for the most parts, any other job that doesn't require that you have education, you can adapt to that job and make it. So that wasn't a problem for me, and those are the type of jobs that I worked. I never had a job where I had to be a teacher, or I didn't have to have a certificate for the jobs that I did acquire. Now, one thing I would have done different, if I can go back and do it all over again, is not get married. So, not get married at all. And I love my children dearly, but more than likely, I probably wouldn't have had children also. And I would have went to the military and probably did a career in the military. Is basically what I probably would have done if I could do it all over again.
Okay. Is there anything that, let me think. I have one more. Um, oh, did you enjoy your experience, being first lady of the church? Did you enjoy that at
No.
all? Okay. What did you enjoy about marriage other than, the benefits, being I'm not gonna say catered to, but other than that, what did you enjoy about marriage? Because I noticed you say you like the
Well,
institution of
yeah, I
marriage.
told you
So
why I liked marriage, because you're more financially
mm-hmm,
secure. You don't have to
mm-hmm,
do everything by yourself. You don't have to. It's a lot of weight lifted off of your shoulders when you're married, because your spouse can take up some of the everyday life things that you don't have to worry about. And my
mm-hmm,
husband's, they did pay the bills for me, so I didn't have to worry about that. I didn't have to worry about if the rent was going to be paid. I didn't have a lot of worries that single mothers have. So that's why I said I like being married. And people need to understand, which I had to come to understand, that marriage is a contract. It really is. It's a contract with love. And so by it being a contract, everybody have to play their parts in the contract. So, and that's the way I
right,
viewed all marriages, as a contract. We all play our parts.
mm-hmm,
And to me, it just take a lot of stress off of one person, because it's very difficult to have to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, especially when you have children involved with it, because you have to
mm-hmm,
do everything. You have to be the man and the wife. So,
mm-hmm,
the man and the woman, as far as taking care of business. So yeah, that's
mm-hmm,
that's why I like being. That's why one of the reasons why I like being married. And you have the same person to do things with. You can travel. You don't have to worry about going places by yourself, or traveling by yourself, or just doing anything by yourself. But on the flip side, you could get
mm-hmm,
tired of doing things with that same person after a long period of time. So marriage is not easy. It's work. You have to really work at it, and it's something that you have to choose every day.
mm-hmm. I agree with you. Well, here's what I have to say about all of that. I think you are a wonderful person. Okay. We talk a little bit, about your children, and I think you are a wonderful mother. I
And
think,
I do love and I do
in
love my
fact,
children dearly, but if I could do it all over again,
yes.
I just wouldn't have children. That's all. And it would be for selfish
Mm-hmm.
reasons, but I am glad that I do have them. So I want to make sure that I put that out there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want nobody saying, "Oh, she don't love her kids," because I do. I love my kids dearly. And
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
further. That is so
right.
not
And
true.
there is nothing that I won't do for them, and they know that. They know, my children understand that it's nothing that I wouldn't do for them.
Hmm. I have gotten to know you on a personal level. I've heard some of these stories, and I laugh hard every time I hear them. Okay. Um, One thing I will say is I love your honesty, and you, I think it's funny that you told that man you don't love him. I just never heard anything like that. I think I heard that on this movie I saw. I can't remember the actors and actresses name, but it's an old movie. I think it's called something the Moonlight, and it's about racism. And she told the man, well, I think she had already been married and her husband left, and
Wait,
but
hold on
he
one
told
second,
her,
Von. Let me. I'm sorry. I meant to set
what?
you up a banner for your cash app. Could you put that in the private chat so I could set you up a banner? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
go ahead though. You were saying about
yeah.
this movie.
Yeah, he was the one that told her, like, you can fall in love with me. She didn't really say that to him.
Hmm.
So I think it's funny because you usually have the men, who's pretty much like, you'll fall in love with me, come on, let's go. It's not the other way around.
What do you mean?
So I
What do you
like
mean?
that you were,
It's not the other way around.
well, women being
Oh.
honest. And I'm pretty honest,
Hmm.
when communicating, So I feel that I am drawn to you because we kind of think alike.
Yeah.
And we say what's on our minds, and we say what's on our hearts, and people think we playing, but we be serious.
I know I do.
So um so I find that part of the story hilarious because he still married you, and
Yeah,
he just
he
had a
still wanted
hard
to get
time.
married, and
Yes.
and that was
And that says a lot
yeah.
about you because, men don't marry, trash women. In fact, that, like you said, give them all, give them all the good years, and they see, we gonna do something with them, and we gonna stand beside them, and so that just doesn't happen often. But I said all that to say, um, I love that about you, that you are honest, and you have a whole lot of experience.
Yes, I would say that. I'll
And
agree to that. But
you have a lot of
I have a lot of
experience.
experience, but there were a lot of mistakes made though, Vaughn. A lot of mistakes that were made on my part. You know, just not just being compulsive and not thinking, and
Hmm.
just taking these men up on their offer, of proposals, and so I just I shouldn't have done that, and I'll
Mm.
admit that I feel like it was a mistake
Hmm.
to do all of that,
Hmm.
especially my third husband, because I didn't have to do that one. I really did.
Hmm.
But once again,
You see, she didn't need
didn't need
him.
I really didn't. And but at the end of the day, a lot of times
Hmm.
us as women, we get into relationships because of rebounds and because of what we're comfortable with. So I feel like that's what the second and third husband was. Okay. The second husband
Hmm.
was a rebound from the first husband. And then the third husband was because I'm just used to being married. Wasn't so much of a rebound, but I just like the comforts of marriage, all the benefits of it.
Hmm.
So yeah. And I can admit that and be honest about that.
Hmm. So y'all, I'm over here cracking up because she said, "Child, hats off to real men marrying women with children already." Amen. Complicated. There was one more thing. So, what brought you to YouTube? There we go.
Okay, what brought me to YouTube is because I have been taking care of my siblings, right? And so both of my
Mm-hmm.
siblings were very very sick, on the brink of death, and one of my siblings did pass, but my sister made it. And so it's like, yes, I stopped working, but the whole entire time that I wasn't working on the job, I was taking care of my siblings. And so a couple of years ago was the first time that I actually had time just for myself and just to do something for myself and just to relax and not have to answer to anybody and not have to do anything other than what I wanted to do. Because even though I was divorced, I still was working, for my kids, and still having to maintain business as far as taking care of home, and I still have to do that today. It's just not as hard because I've made some financial decisions to where I don't have to worry about much anymore. Okay. And so I came to YouTube because my daughter told
Mm-hmm.
me. She said, well, you don't do anything. She said, why don't you get off of Facebook? Because I used to be a big Facebook, person. And my daughter said, have you ever watched YouTube? And I was like, no, I really haven't never paid YouTube no attention. And so she advised me to watch Tasha K. And so by watching Tasha K, that's when I got into YouTube. I started watching her, and I started kind of liking the things that she was doing on YouTube and just liking the shows. And so from Tasha K, I just kind of ventured out and started doing watching other things on YouTube, and all of a sudden I got on this one channel, and it was a small channel. She didn't have very many people, and she was doing reviews of different shows that was on TV. And then lo and behold, the Ernest Williams case came up with Shirley Strawberry's husband. And so when that case came to forefront, that's when I started getting on panels and start talking about that case. And so I was on different channels, and I also was on another channel where I was actually part, like co-host of another channel, and that didn't work out. And the person that I was on the channel with advised me and reminded me, you have your own channel. If you want to do this type of content, then you need to do that on your own channel. And I was like, you know what? You are so right. I do have a channel, and I can do this on my own channel. And that's how I got started with the I Said What I Said channel. I wasn't never really looking to even be a content creator, to be honest with you. I was just fine just being on everybody's panels. But when that person reminded me that I could do my own show, that's when I got started, and that's where we are at today.
Okay. And when you started your channel, did you expect to get the attention of so many people? Because you have been on YouTube since
Yes.
February. And in my opinion, you have a very successful channel. It's like hundreds of people, come look. It be like 115 people, in your chat. I'll say 20 people in your chat at once. Did you expect to get that kind of attention, or did you think that that was normal here on
I just
YouTube?
thought it was normal on YouTube because every channel that I went to had that type of traffic. And I don't think it's so much as me. Um, and it could be, I don't know. But I also know that the story that I started out with on YouTube was very popular and still is popular to today. And so, as you guys know, anything that's on YouTube, it's like in sectors, right? Each a
Mm-hmm.
lot of YouTubes are kind of separated in sectors. And so I was just in the right sector at the right time and started my channel at the right time. So that's what I attribute it to. And a lot of people already knew me from being on the panels of other people channels. And so I was kind of known in this sector already, but I just didn't have my own channel. So that's what I attribute it to. And they may like the way I do the commentary. I don't know. But I do, I won't, I'm gonna just say this. I'm not gonna take full credit for the audience that I have because the audience was already there.
Okay, okay. Well, y'all have heard it from I Said What I Said, okay? Her life story, how she found YouTube, Y'all heard the interview on, why we decided to start this channel. And I think I said what I said is, like I said, I think she's a wonderful person, awesome mother. And I think she would make a great wife, okay, for the fourth time. But you
Lord
know
have
what?
mercy.
I'm a bad
Girl, do
influence.
not put that on me.
I am a bad influence. And, I just be hearing, all these wonderful things about her, when we talk on the phone, and, the way she encourages me. I'm like, girl, you would make a wonderful, wife again. So think about it.
And thank you,
But
Jay Blake. I appreciate that. She
yeah.
said she loved hearing my opinion. That's why she followed me over here. And I appreciate
Yeah,
that,
I
Jay
was
Black.
just about to
And
read
I'm
that
not saying
comment.
that people don't appreciate my opinion, but I just it's not like I built this channel organically in my I mean, yes, people like to hear what I have to say, but but we have to keep
Mm-hmm.
it real also though, because the audience was already there. The audience was already interested in the story that I'm doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I do appreciate each and every last one of my subscribers. I really do. And I sometimes wonder why they want to hear what I have to say. I really do, think about that. I'm like, these people really want to hear what I got to say. As crazy as I am, they still want me to, hear what I have to say. And so I think it's wonderful. And I think it's intriguing, and I do appreciate everybody that really want to hear what I have to say, because once again, I'm still amazed that people want to hear what I have to say.
Okay. Miss Roxy says this is a great channel. Okay. So I'm reading the chat, and people are saying that they have been married for forever. That's the comment I was about to make, but I'm just gonna say it. They've been married for forever.
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Mimi, Miss Alice, and a brilliant.
Right.
Okay. That's a whole lifetime. All right. And what was I gonna say? So yes, make sure y'all hit up. I said what I said. Email, okay? She looking for a man.
No, I'm not.
You
No.
know, she want to be married.
That's wishful thinking on Vaughn's part, but that is not while I'm on YouTube. Trust me when I tell you guys that.
Okay. We trying to get her, pregnant with her third child.
No,
Fourth marriage,
that's not
third child
happening
is the
either.
charm. All
Yeah.
right. We're gonna get her back in the church house as a first
And
lady.
I know the
So we
Lord,
taking
so I don't
pictures
have to
too.
go back to the
Okay.
church house. I did my job. I already did my work. And what else we got?
We trying to get her from the brick road, the gold brick
And that's
paved
good enough
road.
for me.
We trying to
And
get her in
that's
the
good enough for
kingdom.
me. Long
Okay.
as I make it in. And if I gotta work on the road, I'll be fixing the gold road with a reflector jacket. That's good enough for me. And what else you got?
Oh, I'm hollering. And we just need a big tall dark chocolate glass of church milk water. Okay. That's all we need.
As
Okay.
dark chocolate.
And you got to
Well,
have
if
some
you
money.
want to go that route,
Yeah.
make sure it's dark chocolate, not milk chocolate. No,
Yeah,
dark chocolate.
Yeah, dark.
The kind that ain't got that much. The
And
kind
you gotta
that ain't got
have
that much
some money.
sugar in it.
Yeah. You gotta have some money. Okay. All right. And you can only have been married never. Okay. So just keep that in mind.
Wow.
Look, you can't have no kids
The
either. Okay. We trying to start off all fresh and new.
And pay Vaughn no attention, okay? Because that's not what I said. What I said is saying, okay? Okay, she's just talking.
All right. I love you. Okay.
Yeah, Vaughn, Alice, I cannot stay away from a preacher, baby. I'm telling you, they are just drawn to me like a magnet. I think I got preacher road on my forehead for whatever reason, Alice. And that's the first thing I holler when that's the first thing I ask the person. When I meet a man, I ask him, "Hey, are you a preacher?" And they thinking they taking it as a compliment. And no, it's not gonna it's gonna be a strike. It's gonna be a strike against you if you are.
Now that's funny. Does anyone have any questions for myself, or I said what I said? Okay, aka Miss Fancy.
aka Standing on Big Business. Oh, sis, did you say what you had your degree in or no?
Yeah, I have my
I
degree.
think you
I have a
did.
degree in business.
In
Hmm.
business. Okay. So that's why she's standing on big business. Okay. So does anyone have any questions for us? Questions, comments, or concerns?
And also, let me just add this. I can say the type of jobs that I had, I wholeheartedly believe that God placed me in those places so that I could take care of my sister and brother. Because all of that training actually came, it came to the forefront, and it was very needed when I was having to take care of them. So I'm glad of the decisions that I made for those jobs because they did prepare me to help them out with their journey. So I just want to throw that out there.
I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions
Yeah,
for us.
I don't think they
Anybody?
have any questions. They look like they're just speaking to Santa. Hey, Santa.
I seen some questions
Okay, well, let's
earlier,
go back down the line.
but
Yeah, go ahead and talk to
yeah,
them, and I'll
but
look for them.
we can only scroll up so far. That's why I'm at. That's why I'm like, anybody got any questions? Okay. This has been a great live. Please share if you haven't already. Vaughn, I said what I said. Y'all funny. So no questions. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody has any questions. Um. Okay. Well. Yeah, I think we're good, sis. Okay, this is a great live, ladies. I really enjoyed it. I said what I said. You have joined the military. You probably would have been more than 3 times. There are some fine men in the
Ah,
military. I am a veteran. Well, okay. This has been a great, successful first live for Wait to Exhale. Well,
well,
thank you,
thank you,
Miss
Mimi.
Mimi.
We appreciate that. And once again, guys, we're going to be more prepared next time. And I promise you, though, we worked on this show like all week. And you know how it is when you start working on something and you're all excited about it, technology will fail you every time. I just won't throw that out there.
All I'm gonna say is I worked hard on that video for it to be skipping like that. Okay,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
just not
understand
right.
the skipping
All
part.
right.
And I think it's probably just, the system that we're using. So we may have to get out of this system. And it looked like maybe my subscription has ended. And if it has, I think we're going to go to EV Mux. I like it best. Yeah.
Okay.
So we may have to do that.
So no, yeah, nobody has any questions. Well, did y'all enjoy the show? I see Miss Mimi did, Miss Alice did. Senna just got in. Hey, Cinnaboo. Miss Roxy enjoyed it. I'm so glad y'all enjoyed the show. That was what was most important to the both of us. I think so far we did really, really good. Waiting to exhale is where I'm at in my life right now. Right,
I know
complicated
that's right,
girl. Okay, I'm
complicated.
Angela Bassett. Flips here.
Well, hopefully,
All right.
hopefully we could
So,
inspire you guys to not make the same mistakes that we made. And hopefully, we were able to give you some type of insight, and hopefully you can take something away from this live. Hopefully you feel better going out than you did when you came in. But I just thought it was very important um for us to tell our story first, especially if we're going to be interviewing other people and getting into their business. So and also we wanted you to get to know us for who we really are. And I really wanted to just bring some transparency to the forefront, because once again, I feel better just by telling the story and just bringing back all of the old memories and thinking about everything. And yes, I skipped over some of it because I will be here forever. uh it would take me forever to tell you all about the whole entire
mm-hmm.
story. But yeah, um but at the end of the day, we do thank everybody for coming out, for sharing this experience with us, for being here, staying here the entire time, working throughout the kinks. And yes,
All I'm gonna say is, sis, I've been transparent on my channel. Okay, transparency isn't a hard thing for me to do. However, okay, um, I don't see anything wrong with leaving parts out of stories.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, because this is a new channel. All right, and I'm starting new over here. No, I'm teasing y'all. But yes, okay, you definitely have to be transparent, when we are talking about these topics. Okay, y'all, wait, I got a question. But we have to be transparent when we are talking about these topics because for me, I will be honest and say transparency isn't hard. I more so struggle with what to say and what not to say because I'm gonna keep it real. There are some things I really don't mind talking about, but what I have learned on YouTube is that they will be used against you in the YouTube court of law. And I'm not gonna say I don't have thick skin, but I'm just in a place in my life, now where I'm just very careful about what it is that I say, and I just try not to give too much attention to the bad. And yeah. So, but truth be told, if you ever been on the phone with me, I don't care about telling you nothing. But when you're on a public platform, everyone may, and honestly, it's not even about whether or not other people have a similar story or anything like that. It's just, sometimes people will act as though, they've lived life and haven't been through anything, you know. And I'm also still learning how to keep some things to myself. Okay. So be prepared, for your eyes to be, bucked a few times, or your jaw to drop, a couple times when I'm speaking, because sometimes I be talking and be telling on myself and don't even realize it till I catch the replay. Okay. And sometimes I purposely be telling on myself, and I skip over stuff, and then I get a phone call and be like, "Did you just say?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I did. I said that. Yeah, I knew I said that." So here's the question that I have. Okay, so it says, I um okay, ask, is the channel for Black women or for all women? Okay, so I feel that the channel is for all women. However, I said, and I said what I are both Black African American women. We are both dark skinned complected. And if you're new to this channel, you know me, okay, light skinned people is mean to me my whole life, okay. So we'll talk about colorism, racism, growing up being dark. My own daughter is what I call, light skin, fair skin, whatever you want to call it. My grandmothers are light skin, fair skin. I have white and mixed and you know all types of colored people in my family whom I love dearly. So I do not discriminate, you know, and that's just how I feel about it. And I believe my sis feels the same way because we've talked about this. We welcome everybody, gay, straight, you know. And I just want to also say that although we both do believe in God, this is a channel for everyone. As long as you're respectful, because I know how some people, feel, oh, we're all supposed to be Christians. And I'm just gonna say this too, I am a babe in Christ, but I'm still new to all of this, and I'm just not judgmental. I'm only 31, but I've matured enough to know, not to judge people, not to think it can never happen to you. Of course, be wise and don't be foolish.
Okay. I think Vaughn must have dropped down. I think her internet must have gave out or what have you. But let's see if she's gonna come back up. But like she was saying, this channel is for every woman. It doesn't matter to me what color you are. Um, it doesn't matter who you are and what you do in life. As long as you're positive over here in this chat and you're respectful, every woman is invited in. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as Vaughn is concerned, we're not discriminating against anybody. I know I'm not, and the channel is built for women, and so uh, and it's also, I wanted it to be a place for women to be comfortable, to be able to tell their stories without any judgment, without any shame. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, we are going to be interviewing some of the people that's in the audience, and so we want you guys to feel comfortable when you're telling your story. And let me just put this disclaimer out: do not use no other content creator have permission to use our our videos. Okay, that's what that TM is about. It's about trademark. My name is trademarked, and so we're gonna get our own music. So if we play our own music, then we can strike your channel if you decide that you want to do commentary on our videos. So as of this moment, I just want to put that out there. We don't want anybody using our videos for content. So
Mm-hmm.
we just want to make sure that is clear with everybody. And it's not because we think we're all of that, or that we have such great content, or whatever it is that you're thinking in your mind. The reason why we're saying that, because we want this channel to stay a positive, uplifting channel, and we don't need anybody critiquing anything that we say, because it's about positivity here. And we don't want anybody critiquing anything that you say if you come up here and give us an interview. And so that's one thing that you guys don't have to worry about. And I want you to feel comfortable when you're on this channel to tell whatever story you want to tell without
Mm-hmm.
anybody else getting it, critiquing it, turning it up, or doing whatever nefarious things that they do to other people's content. That won't be
Mm-hmm.
happening on the Waiting to Excel channel.
At all whatsoever. My bad, y'all. KJ, of course, is the reason I just went out. Could y'all still hear me? But
Yeah.
oh wait, y'all could still hear me when I went
Yes.
out?
Yes, we heard all of you and KJ and all of that, but that's okay.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
Are you done speaking, or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Was that yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Women empowerment, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
Oh,
Vaughn is preoccupied. So let me.
no, I'm not preoccupied. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay,
Yes.
well,
We, no discriminations. Yes, men are welcome to as well. Just keep it positive, respectful, you know, um, and listen to understand, because um, I know it's natural for us to judge, and it's like, oh, woo woo woo. But just try and learn something, from myself, and I said what I said, and other people who hit the panel, because us women, we like to, key and gossip, but I just want to say this too: backbiting is in the Bible. Okay. All right. So, try not to, take anything personally that anybody says about themselves, whether they're speaking of themselves, or, and most importantly, if the content gets too serious for you, contact us. And what I mean by too serious is, if we should put trigger warnings up, or, um, anything, contact us, send us stuff that y'all want us to, commentate on, give us ideas for content. But most importantly, this to me, and, just let's really build a sisterhood over here, and just love on each other, genuinely, and not just look at it as content, and, or something just to watch, or something to talk about, but, listen to understand, learn, and grow. you know um Maybe, my ultimate goal is to, grow on this channel, take in wisdom, give some, out, um build friendships, relationships, sisterhoods, whatever. Like that's my ultimate goal. And for, women to actually, take what they're hearing in, whether it's someone else's story, statistics, whatever, somebody's achievement, and say, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it. If they've been through it, you know, this is how they got through it, or, that we're just all, human, and anything is possible. And yeah, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, so Santa have a question. Do you all have a set day or do we just need to look for notifications?
You can answer that, sis.
Oh, well, I thought you'd like to answer it since you were doing the talking. I was just reading the question.
And,
But
and
yeah,
speaking of answering questions, check your text messages.
I did check it. I don't see anything. But yeah, our day is gonna be Wednesday, and we are trying to go Wednesdays at 1 o'clock center. Okay, we just got started a little late today because of the technology issues, and I think it's a restream problem. I don't think it's our problem, because it just wouldn't allow us to load up the information that we were trying to load up. And welcome to the club. Welcome to Waiting to Excel, La. Thank you for being a new subscriber. We appreciate that.
Now look again.
Okay. Are you going to continue to talk while I look? Because you can't just have dead air. I just don't see anything. But it's just the same question. And I don't know. Maybe my phone is messing up. I don't know. Put it in the private chat and I can read it from there. Um, but yeah, we do appreciate your support, La. And like I said, we do plan on coming on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. And hopefully by next week, we'll be more prepared and we'll have a new system that we're working in, because I don't like all of the skipping. And I'm totally disappointed in, us not being able to upload the information that we had as far as our videos and stuff. And so, I'm a stickler when it comes to perfection. And so I like for the things to I like to dot the I's and cross the T's. Okay. Um I don't know what that is, Vaughn. What question did E want you to answer? What question did E want you to what question did E ask you to answer for her? Because I don't know what that is. I wasn't paying attention to the chat.
Never mind.
Okay, because I'm not.
Never
I'm not.
mind.
Yeah, I'm not catching on. Why don't you just say what you need to say? Don't you know?
I don't have anything to say. You're not understanding.
No, I'm not.
And you just
Not.
then you read my message out loud.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Vaughn. I really don't. And I apologize for reading it out loud. I didn't mean to read it out loud, but I thought it was something that you
Now
wanted me
she
to
gonna think
ask.
we talking about it.
She ain't gonna think that because it could have been a question that she had in the chat. Who knows? But I don't know. But I don't think that. I mean, there's nothing nefarious going on, and I didn't really say much. So I thought it was something that's going on with the show. So I have no clue what you're talking about. But nevertheless, guys, like I said, we're gonna try to come on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. I want to thank each and every last one of you for showing up today. Unfortunately, we don't have any outgoing music because Restream won't let us upload our music for whatever reason. They don't even give us access to their music for whatever reason. And so I'm gonna have to get with Restream because I actually paid for a year, so I should be able to do what I want to do with this app, and it's not allowing me to do what I want to do. And so, but I guarantee you guys, we'll have something. We'll have a much better show as far as production go next week, And Vaughn, did you want to say anything before we leave out?
Yes, I'm putting applications in for a new business partner. Please hit my email up at Von's Reality at gmail.com, because my business partner don't know how to, partner in business today. And we just appreciate all of y'all, for showing up.
Well, y'all hit me up on I said what I said email address if y'all want to do a show with me.
Okay?
since
Because
I'm getting fired the first day.
yeah, she getting fired the first day, because Lord. But I am so glad y'all came through. I'm really like super duper excited. And I really wish we could have gotten some more of y'all's questions, but I couldn't see them all. Okay. So I was trying to see if she saw them. Okay. But apparently she didn't. Okay. So maybe next time, like she said, we'll have everything together. Um, and yeah, we'll go from there. And I love y'all. And thank you for coming through. KJ, do you want to say bye? Since you all in the show today? I didn't think so. All right. So bye, y'all. Okay. Bye. And thank you for coming. Well, KJ says bye. And yes. Sis, make sure your Cash App is active, because I know mine is. My
Oh,
husband sent me some money today. So
oh, okay.
I think she's talking about you. Cause oh wait, hold on. Wait,
Oh
do
yeah, it
y'all
is active. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this.
wait?
I'm
Well,
really not.
thank you. Do I say y'all's names? Or do, because I like to keep my stuff private. I don't like everybody knowing who do stuff for me, because folks be hating and
Yeah.
come up with rumors and lies. But thank you so much. I just love y'all.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I won't call out your names, but thank you for the cash outs. We'll appreciate that. But this is my very first time receiving a cash out on a replay. So I mean doing a show. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the cash app. And you know who
Yeah.
you are that sent it. So um
And yeah, remember that about me. I've been like that. I've learned my lesson. Telling people thank you. And then folks. So, but thank you so much. I thank you so
so
much.
at
I just
least I
wanted
didn't
to
give that out.
say, yeah. But thank
I'm
you so
catching
much.
on to this though, but this is new for me, you guys.
Yeah.
So because on my channel I don't I just started. Somebody encouraged me to put my cash app up, and a couple other subscribers asked me why don't I put it up, because I just never put it up. But I'm beginning to scroll it across the screen now, so I'm gonna get used to it. But you guys got to understand. I'm no, I mean, I'm the type of person that's always doing the giving. I'm not actually used to receiving, so it's kind of hard for me to receive things. Okay, so that's just one of my little things that I need to work on.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird, but it is what it is. And I said
No, it
what I
doesn't.
said.
But see y'all. Thank you so much for coming through. Bye, Miss Alice, Janice, Miss Roxy, Senna, Abril, my love, Miss Mimi. Thank you, Miss Colleen, for showing up. I have not seen you in a while, and it's very nice to see you.
And
Thank
Jay
y'all,
Blake,
Scorpio Mama.
Scorpio Mama,
Yeah, thank y'all so much. We
La, thank you
love
for
y'all.
joining. Janice, Miss
E
Boogie
and
Down,
SDK. Yes,
Shadow,
Mom, my Tito.
Wellness, and
Yes.
Wellness.
Miss Wanda. Yes, 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 yes. I'm so glad you liked today's show. I
Yeah.
saw you also say you liked today's show. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
And Disrupt and Discuss was here. I remember seeing them in the chat. Tap In was in the chat, I believe.
I said them already. You
Oh,
not
you
listen.
already said them? Oh, okay. My
Yeah.
bad. My bad. My bad. And we're gonna even get that together too, y'all. So just give us a little grace, guys, and a little patience, and we're gonna get it all together. Before you know it, we'll be flowing this show like it's nothing.
Yes.
So,
Shout out to Anaya, Too Strong, Miss Linda. Yeah, I'm so glad y'all came through. I really am. I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
I am too. And
Okay.
thank you. And thanks and kudos and shout out to all the moderators, Abril and
Yes.
Alice and whoever was moderating today. Because guys, look, when I was telling my story, I wasn't looking at the chat, and a lot of
Oh,
times,
yeah.
yeah, when I'm talking, guys, it's not that I'm ignoring you guys. I'm gonna go back and listen to the replay and read the chat then. But I never look at the chat when I'm talking for whatever reason, and it's like I'm looking up or I don't know, just weird stuff. But I'm not looking at the screen or the chat when I'm talking because I'm trying to get my thoughts together. And so that's just something that I do, no matter if I'm on my panel or anybody else's panel. I just don't pay attention to the chat while I'm talking. So
I'm gonna say this. We both can't have that problem. So I see I have to grow up.
yeah, yeah, please do, please do.
Because I am notoriously known for not reading my chat. It be whole other situations going on. And I
Yeah.
don't be paying attention. And people be thinking I be knowing stuff and I don't be knowing nothing. So I got us. I got you. Okay. You know, I'm gonna
Okay,
use my
good,
young
good.
Bond mind.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the youngins is for. And guys, if you can, share our channel out if you can, because we want to build this community up, and tell all your friends and family or whoever you think will be interested in this channel. To ask them to subscribe to the channel, because the more the merrier for me.
Yeah, the more. Oh, sis, by the way, before we go, we are at 97 subscribers. We are almost at 100. So
Kudos
y'all,
to the
y'all
subscribers.
share this live out so we get some more subscribers.
Because
I am
it's no us,
shocked.
it's no us without you guys, and we do appreciate all the support, and I think that's fabulous to have 97 subscribers. And this is and we had a lot of these subscribers before we even did the show, so thank you, thank you, thank you. We do appreciate it, and you are much appreciated. We do appreciate all of our supporters.
Yes, and I can't forget Shanice. I think she was the second person in here. Shout
Mhm.
out to the usher, okay, of what we call the Church of Alice. Yeah, shout out to the usher in Church of Alice, okay.
Mhm.
Head usher in charge for showing up today. I love y'all.
Okay. All right, so guys, we'll see you guys next week. You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you in these YouTube streets. And goodbye, everybody.